Still got the price on these. $11. I think I bought these about 6, 7 years ago. Doesn't really want to play tonight. Get heavy. I mean, wow. I'll start off like this. It's like even that instant of closing my eyes, I came like face to face with a dragon head. It was like I closed my eyes and there's a dragon head looking at me through the vibrations. But welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Big Pontiac, otherwise known as Ain't Win, otherwise known as Time Lord. I'm the holder of the Infinite Ball Game created by the Hero Twins. And I am your galactic daddy-o sitting on my galactic patio, or you guys are sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. Welcome. Welcome one, welcome all. And tonight's special is Sugar Water that I created. Been sitting for 2 days. Yeah, because I drank beer last night. So yeah, this water's been sitting for 2 days. We've got the coming full moon. I mean, it looks kind of full now. Should check my chart. But pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. Use my, this was, I lost this little top. I bought this brand new and was taking that top off to clean it, and the motherfucker went in the sink and had to buy a goddamn another one. So this one is basically new. But yeah, I'm a weed head. I've had this weed. I had this weed since freaking July. Like I was watching a thing on the board or out in California wax, and they talking about making this stuff is like, making people blow up. There's no way you can blow up making this. You know what you do? You get some flower weed. It's a machine that presses them into like little buttons. And then there's another machine that's like a hot plate that you just stick the shit on, and it pushes this stuff out. The hash oil, little slightly different. But that's basically how you get this. So there ain't no danger in that. And hash, you just take flour and you get this little compressor, and you compress the little stuff you push off the flour. It's a little more potent. I like hash because you hardly get hash from, like, Afghanistan was the first time I heard of Afghanistan when we was buying that Afghani black hash. It was the first time I'd ever heard of it. But what's happening, Jay? My man PJ, let me know when you want to collaborate. We'll make that happen. Brother James, what is happening? Now, y'all noticed I was able to change the name to Big Pontiac now. When did I know I was awake and different than the normal sheep? I think, it's like I've always felt that specialness. Like even from a little boy, just being a normal, goofy little boy, love of, great big family. And as the thing turned into the sports thing, I became a star somewhat young. And so it went all the way through college. And, I've said before, I had the first, well, I guess one thing is, I mentioned this last night, is I saw a premonition of my great grandmother's death when I was 4. She didn't die till I was 10, but I saw it when I was 4. I was 4 or 5, and I was like laying in bed, had a dream, dreamt the whole thing. Woke up bawling to my mother. So I like the way I've always dressed. I mean, when I was a senior in high school, we wore what's his name? I want to say Fu Manchu, but that ain't right. The capital of Vietnam. We wore their type of shirts. At least I did. It was a clothing store called Chess, and what it was like no collar shirts but buttoned up. A Ho Chi Minh. It was called Ho Chi Minh shirts. They was like Vietnam styled, like the Vietnam would wear like it looked like Americans called it pajamas, but it really wasn't pajamas, just like no collar shirts. So I was wearing that kind of shit, and then going into college. But I did have the first Astro experience at 20 or 21. And that made me see through the veil. That made me see that it's something else going on. Now, even though after I got that information, who in 1981 do you share that with? Especially living down south in Greensboro. No one to share that with. So I really didn't get this book. I mean, my brother and I would talk, and we would go through our highs and we would go through our lows. And I would say like in 03 or 04, I got this book. And in this book, they started, talking about astro traveling and stuff. And so this book led to many, many others. And I started gaining this knowledge and a little bit studying the occult, Voodoo. I talked last night about my grandmother. I mean, my grandmother, even though she went to the Baptist church, she always put salt by the doors and the windows. And she always put little things on the windows. My brother remembers that, little figures and stuff. She always did that despite being in the Pentecostal church, excuse me. I've always been a natural born leader. I mean, kind of no matter what I did, people kind of gravitated to me to get my opinion of things. So all this put together helped mold me. And as and my love of history, I imagine I got it from my father, but through the oral storytelling of my family as well. And it was just something that I was thirsty for. And so the more I studied, the more I was able to understand who I am. Like I'm very empathic. Matter of fact, like football, I'm so empathic. When I used to watch football, when I quit playing, I could not watch guys get hurt because I would really feel the injury. I mean, I would have to turn my head. It's lightened up now, I've noticed. But for years, I could not watch another football player get hurt because I would feel what he went through. Whatever his body part was he was showing or where he got hit, I would kind of feel that. And so I just learned, I was like, I could not watch when dudes, or after they got injured or if they showed the replay of the injury, I couldn't watch that shit because I was so empathic that it affected me. I've always felt and could kind of read people's minds. I've always kind of felt that. Um, so, but it's evolution. It's evolution. It's something that, shoot, as you go old as you can be, it should keep going. Mm, mm. And so you keep awakening more. That's the beautiful thing about it. You keep awakening more. Okay, bet. I found it hard to talk about. Like my roommate I always talk about that was in Vietnam. Him and I would talk about it, and he would try to break it down because he was kind of, he was a little deep and he was in his 30s. Because I'm 22 and going through a similar thing. Ah, ah. And like they call the Kundalini moving, the moving. I'll say one thing that I'll say sports gave me fires is getting Kundalini to move through you. And I'm giving some out. I've got it moving. But sports helped me with that because from a very young age, I would get the butterflies. And again, the further you grow up playing, that leaves because you see it as a business as serious, and and that's the kind of bad thing about going higher through it is you see the seriousness of it and it takes that away. It takes that away. However, me being able to do that and experience that was easy to find Kundalini. And I say that entirely comes from sports. So I understand. And if you get your, some people call it the quickening, you start having them experiences, just go with it, try to understand it and study. I mean, you could always, I'm Eagles are the bomb at Gmail. You could always, if you want some further consultation, I always talk about that kind of stuff to try to get people to understand the proper steps, the proper steps. So that's kind of so it's I still evolve. I still learn things. Like these new cards I bought. It's stuff I'm studying, but it's like it's what I need. Like, well, for what I study and my other study and messing with the other cards, it is kind of like it is completion of what I already mess with. So I see that how the energy has come to me because I'm very familiar with a lot of what I'm reading. Um, we can only talk this stuff to certain people. People are silly and just go along with the flow. They do, and people just don't understand that. I mean, spirituality should be everything. It should be love. It should be silliness, caring, sharing, and there are people that they can't see it as serious. It's like I understand what they're doing, and let me just kind of give you a kind of a metaphor. It's like going on them cruise ship, that Disney shit that my ex and her group like doing. Fuck that. I don't ever want to go on them nasty ass ships again. I don't care that now they put the water parks on them and shit. They said they was playing pickleball on the motherfucker, but that is some shit I'll never do. Now, if renting my own little yacht and going out, yes, I'll do that. But getting on one of them nasty moving motels, I don't get it. It is like so nasty on them. They can't possibly clean them. You know how people clean hotels? This is the same thing. And we talking about a turnover of thousands. I mean, they ignore all the people that was getting sick, and then they just went after this stuff. But that just shows you I understand. I don't want to be involved in that, but I can understand where their position on it. So Uh, oh, no problem. No problem. That is no problem. I know on Conspiracy University, I had asked him about a little business. I got to call him. I just get so much coming at me and old and lazy. Divine Networking Solutions. Welcome again. Thank you. Growing up playing football, I remember the energy of being on the field. Oh, this is someone else. I'm sorry. Nothing else mattered except being in the moment. I wouldn't notice the crowd, cheerleaders, forget all my problems. Yeah, that disappears. Like catching a pass, like you hear nothing. You won't even hear yourself breathing. You won't hear the steps. You are aware of another person, but you become so glued on catching that pass. You even, it's like at a point where you see the ball and anticipate, you don't even care about him. You don't care about somebody about to run into you. Nothing matters but catching that ball. And I mean, you're talking about the world becoming silent. And then once you grab it, you have to tuck it and hold it tight to you. And even as the contact comes, you concentrate on nothing but holding the ball, so you don't even really feel the contact. Now, I got hit in the back one time. As I mentioned, I got poisoned before one of our games. I'm sure I was poisoned now looking back at it, and it affected me. But that's what it's like. That's the same thing. It's like, yeah. What is some of the war movies they say? Dude, I think it was Dead President. He's like, I don't want to think of none of that shit. I don't want to think about nothing at home. I just want to think about what's there. But that's how football is. You just think about what you got to do and your natural rhythm, anticipation, quickness. Yeah. Yep. I got sick as hell on my first cruise I ever got on. My stomach was turning as we speak. They wouldn't show me how they cleaned it up for me to start to get on one. Now you can get sick from seasick, but it'd be other shit. And for years and years, they had not stopped that problem. All they did is built the ships bigger, but they didn't never really stop. Matter of fact, it was a ship. It was a couple here, and you talking about unlucky, wrong place at the wrong time. This couple here was where that ship went sideways. It killed a couple here in Minnesota. What is the odds of that? They was on the ship that went sideways. Missed the last couple streams. You pick anything from the Super Bowl or predict? Yeah, I hit on the under. I hit on the under, and I said last Saturday night that the Rams, and I was giving up points. I did give up some 4 points, but I found somebody that did 5.5, so I won on that. Then I hedged my bets, so I did some of the bets with the Bengals, and all of them won. So yeah, I was on point on the Super Bowl, especially after I saw that Bacchus with the horns. I put that in my community. Oh yeah, and I mentioned this earlier, but the new channel, this channel is under Big Pontiac now, so yeah, it'll be me if you see that. So yeah. And I want to apologize for earlier. I was like within 20-25 minutes of having a sneezing attack since I got up for like I know I said maybe 20 minutes, but I sneezed from the time I was laying in bed and started sneezing. And so probably shouldn't have done it. Flopping with the phone and stuff. I mean, I did get some decent information out, but let me tell you how foul my people are. This is how freaking foul we are. So one of my boys calls me. He's like, oh, you knowing people again, huh? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you said, the girl pulled out some powder and like you talked to your guy, so you know people. And then he hit me with the Superfly shit. He hit me with, you know the number, nigga. I started laughing when he said that shit. I'm like, no, nah. But he's like, you know the number, nigga. He got me good on that one. That's what they say in Superfly. So, but he got me in that one. So it's just funny, I think thinking that people won't call and or don't watch, and it is like some of my people around watch. You call and be like, oh, you know people. So I just have fun with it. But yeah, I was like, man, because I was listening to because I got asthma too. I take Brio every day because it keeps my airway open. But this sneezing, I've had allergies and taking medication since I was a boy. So I don't know, somewhere I live. Oh, but that Bacchus thing, what I want to say is that picture, when I saw the picture of Bacchus with the horns, I just looked it up. I was like, Friday night or Saturday. And maybe Saturday before I said it, but I want to say I found it Friday. But yeah, the Bacchus thing, I was like, oh, the Rams definitely gonna win. When I saw that Bacchus thing, I was like, oh, the Rams are definitely gonna win. So that's what convinced me. That's what convinced me that the Rams was gonna win. And I knew the under. As soon as they showed the under, I was like, oh shit. When they showed the over and under 48, I was like, it's no way. It is no way um, that the Bengals was going to get 30 something. And the Rams was kind of off and on, hot and cold. And even after Odell, but they got a touchdown out of Odell. So Cup was able to do the rest. But yeah, but the Bacchus with the horns was like, that's that. And then when they met at the coin toss, I was like, oh, and you know, I'm talking about the Bengals colors all week, and I'm not like, wait a minute. Bengals is the Bacchus colors, but Solus is the Rams colors. So it's like, and the Ram would tie it up to both. But my biggest thing, what I've said about sports in general, is they don't like new teams winning. That's my biggest thing. And I kind of stuck to that. I know Lobo was echoing that. He was saying the same thing, you know, that new teams just don't tend to win. And that's a point you got to follow. Like with Baylor and Gonzaga, you got to look back where Baylor's won it. And that's kind of how they like to do it. That's why I didn't think Gonzaga could win it last year. This year, I don't know. They're a lot more dominant, I think, this year than they were last year with the big fellas. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's just funny how dudes cut into me because I'm around and I know everybody. You know, I know like all my friends that still do things and work for themselves. I still know them and they still got my number. It's like it's not like we ain't cool. Not anybody really here that I mess with like that, but because I wouldn't trust nobody here. Not like that. I mean, little twos and fews, but not real thing. No, I don't mess with people like that here. Never look for that kind of relationship here. So, but yeah, so just having fun. I will say, you know, to Barbara Grady, you know, definitely thank you so much. I appreciate the support. So thank you. It's funny talking about just spiritual thing. I know one dude was like thinking that crystals was a scam and that because you got to buy the crystals. Well, I mean, there are places where I found crystals. Again, I live near a lake. I found crystals that just at the lake. Shoot, you live in somewhere like Arkansas, North Carolina, Illinois. There's places where you can go dig them. I mean, you got to pay most places, but you can go dig them up yourself. Things like jasper, like our field rock is jasper. Our field rock is pink granite, and pink granite is one of the highest resonating stones, and it's just in our field. Like when they 2-3 years ago when they tore up my street, I got some big pieces of pink granite basalt. You know, a lot of this glacier rock. So you don't necessarily always have to buy them. I mean, I didn't spend thousands. I have bought them, but there are other ways. And most places they're very inexpensive to start with. So they definitely help your environment, your atmosphere. Nothing else. Nobody promised you a rose garden. Nobody promised you that abracadabra, because it ain't really like that. It's just like everything else. You got to have a relationship with things. And these stones, everybody don't feel them. Like the guy that I have bought most of these stones from, he'll tell you, he feels nothing spiritually from the stones. He's had a couple experiences where somebody has transferred energy to him. So he knows, but he knows the value of them. But the spiritual side, you admit but this guy has, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars tied into his business. And so he knows the worth of them. So that's kind of how it is. It's like some people can't touch a tree and feel anything. Told you, there's a tree I call out there. I call it the mother tree. And it has a knot where it healed itself. And that's where, and it's interesting, this knot also leaks stuff to make ants come up in the tree. Because, you know, ants eat worms. So if them the type of silkworms come up in the tree, the ant that attracting the ants in the tree helps take care of them, because ants see them and they try to get into they start eating the tree up. Them ants is going to start attacking them when they're younger, when they're trying to come up. So, but some people couldn't even feel that. I mean, some people couldn't even go outside and just put their feet in the grass and just feel so connected to the earth that it's just like the earth is a magnet for you. Some people can't feel that. So like PJ said, it ain't for everybody. And I think the thing we do, it's almost like when we become, like when you see a Catholic or a Christian or a new convert, how enthusiastic they are about it. And you want everybody else to understand. I don't care now if they understand. I deal with people so they understand me. It's like a young lady I was, kind of dating, and I had to make her understand me. And I knew what I was telling her was too much. But I wanted her to understand the storm element that I am, because I realize I am a storm. So, but trying to convince people, that's why I got off of Facebook, really, off of, very few things that I comment now, because Facebook is made to draw you in. It's like Cheeto Paul is still messing with them Hebrews. And it's like, okay, you say one or two posts and then you move on. He can't move on. He's still showing history and shit. And it's like, what's the point? It's ego. That shit is ego driven. Well, I got to show you what I know. I've got to show you what I know. And you see that little bit on here in comments sometimes. Well, I need to show you what I know. And sometimes I catch myself commenting on stuff. It's like, no, that ain't really right. And it's not showing what I'm doing, but I'm like, I'm adding to what you're saying. And like even DeJuan Brown, like he talked shit to me, but later I end up calling in on the show and talking to he was like, it was just, we just talking shit. I'm like, yeah, I know. And that's how we do it. I didn't take no offense to it. So I don't take offense to a lot, but I don't waste my time with a lot. I don't mess, I have a very small circle. As I say almost every night, I don't know what being lonely is. And I hope I can help people feel that way. Why are you lonely? Like, you should have enough of what you love around you. Your environment should be enough around you where you just love what you're doing. Now, if there's somebody there to share it with, that's great. But a lot of people don't like being lonely. As I said, the boy's mother, she'll move niggas in with her because she doesn't want to be alone. That's not the way to start a relationship. Because in the end, it's not going to work because you did it too quickly. And then a lot of times she's end up having to pay for doing that. It's like a chick across the street. She's around my age, somewhere in there, but like she smoked squares. It was obvious that she's a recovering drug addict. It's just looking at her face, the way the wear and tear on her face. And she kind of, but I speak to everybody. I'm nice to everybody. I speak to everybody. But the other day, her and her mama was, because she's living with her daughter. Her and her mama got into it, and I guess she hit one of the girls. It's two young girls in there, like 6th, 7th grade or something. And, she was like, the chick started knocking on my door. And she's like, shh, I don't want him to hear us arguing. And the daughter's like, I don't give a fuck. You can't hit these children, and you've been drinking. You need to stop drinking. I mean, she's busting her out and shit. And I'm like, oh. But like they said, eventually people will show you who they are. I love being alone in my thoughts and my own energy. Oh, absolutely. Most of the mornings I meditate. Most of the mornings I get the prayers and everything out the way. Most mornings. Probably when I get done tonight, probably meditate a little bit before I go to bed. But normally I wake up, drink some coffee, smoke a little bit, and then start meditating. Yeah. As the full moon is coming, I got to start bringing singing bowls into the other room when I meditate, because I there's a ley line that runs, like, I know where it is outside, and I followed it, and it hits like right here on where my couch is kind of the stronger ley line. And it kind of runs across through my room, where my recliner is. That's normally where I because it's a recliner compared to my couch, easier to kind of relax. But it's a really strong energy here in my couch, and I found the ley lines outside, and pendulums can kind of help you with that. I mean, if you're not really cool with divining rods, these divining rods really too, but so can pendulums. You can just take the pendulum out of your yard. Like, even if you live in apartments, you can still find where the strongest ley lines are, or where the branches off into fractal lines. But you can still find it. That's nothing they can hide. They can't hide. I mean, this is what's interesting. If you don't think this is real, follow the strongest. Like, there's people that have made videos showing the coordinates of the strongest ley lines in the world. And don't you know who's on them? Don't you know who's on them? There are things everywhere on where the strongest ley lines in the world are. So if you don't think they don't know this, and they're trying to do this, as I was saying, as the Spanish destroyed Tuna, I'm not going to say it right, I'll say Mexico City, as they destroyed that, they built their churches over the pyramids. Again, the biggest pyramid in the world is the oldest building built by Europeans in America. It was built, I think, in the 1530s or 40s, and it was so special to the people that the people hit it, and it looks like a mountain. The people literally buried the pyramid, the biggest pyramid in the world. The people in around Mexico buried it, or around Mexico City buried this thing. And maybe I'm wrong around Mexico City, but the people buried it. That's how sacred it was to them. And really, we had people telling. I mean, that's one of the things. It's like traders, and they found it, and just like they did to the rest of the pyramids, where you see them old churches in Mexico City, they did the same thing to that one. That was, matter of fact, the first one. So you don't think they don't use these energies? They use this stuff. You don't think they try to understand their magic and understand their gods, ghouls? I mean, why do you think they jumped on the ball game and used that to their benefit? I mean, just as much as religion, sports controls people just as much as religion. And if you don't think that is, as I talk about the old Eagles games, I saw fans go at it. Every time I went up there, it was people went at it. What they call it, old Veterans Field. I think somebody corrected me. But it is replaced religion on Sundays. Football's on from my time, noon to 10. Football's on for 10 hours during the season. 10 hours. And you got high school, or little, it almost goes like junior high football, high school football. And then you throw in high school freshman JV. And then Saturdays, if you got little boys, they play on Saturdays, the little boys. So if you're a parent, and then what do we have Saturday afternoons and evenings? We have college football on. College football is probably on until you talking about the West Coast games. It'd be football on from, like, games come on 11 here. I think most college games come on 11 because most colleges start at 12 or 1. A lot of them start at 12. So most college games come on at 11. And if you watch the West Coast games, they don't go off until midnight, past midnight. So they think it's a religion too, or they wouldn't put it on so much. And now you got Monday nights, you got Thursday nights. So if you don't think sports controls people, sports control people as well. So they know this. They make billions off it. They make billions off it. And again, ritual. the biggest ritual of the year. That's why it's the beginning of the year. They learned. They was like, well, why are we doing this ritual at the end of the year? We can do the ritual because you saw, let me tell you, I've watched it. I remember when the Super Bowls was still the same season. But what started happening? January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, middle of January, end of January. Now what do we got? February. Super Bowl used to be in December at one point. Then January for January. But that's how they move it. So they've extended it. They've extended the games. It's a type of religion too. And it controls, and that's why all the talking heads. That's why all the talking heads. I mean, ESPN kind of shot themselves and overdid their product because from 7 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you got multiple people talking about the same shit. Like, how long did they really think that kind of thing was going to last? Multiple people talking about the same thing. And that's what ESPN used to be. Is being baptized the type of curse? I wouldn't really say curse. I would say more of a lock. It's more of a lock. It's trying to lock your soul at whatever age, because it's supposed to be a promise between you and the Supreme, or that Supreme. So, because, you know, Catholics still get christened. They still get christened. So it's kind of the same thing. But as far as a curse, I guess that it depends on the family curses in your family compared to the ones that was baptized compared to the ones that wasn't. I kind of would look at that route. That's what comes to mind. More of a lock, I think, than a curse, though. Yeah, more of a lock. Now, it could be, but it seems like more of a type of lock at a very young age. Yeah. It all makes sense. And so this is kind of how you have to relate to people, because some people just get their information from sports. That's why you see politics in sports so much, because that's how some people only relate to it. So keep that in mind when dealing with people. Mr. Wrote on myself. But, you know, I just have fun. I laugh a lot. My son and I talk shit. I yell at him. I go off on him. You know, he'll talk shit to me. But when it comes down to it, like I told him, I said, the TV show The Odd Couple, I'm like, you the sloppy one, and I'm the clean one. And he's like, well, you're not that clean. I'm like, cleaner than you. But let me tell you, how should I tell his business? Like, he lives like a total slob, but he cleaned that room up yesterday to get some pussy. I'm like, chick, come over again. And then he was like, I wanted her to leave like 6 in the morning because she lives somewhere around here. And then she finally left. He's like, she wouldn't leave. I like sleeping by myself. But it was like he completely redid his room. Took out the trash, vacuumed, picked up all the clothes. I mean, it was like, because like he had moved out and moved across the hall for about a month. And I had put my daughter's bed in that room. And so he had cleaned it the way that little bit of time she was there, but it was just so freaking funny. It was so freaking funny. I'm like, well, I'm glad that motivated you to clean, because it's like, I'm tired of all my dishes being in your room. So had something down here about me and the Awakened one talking, and I don't know what it is. I didn't have a whole lot of notes, and I'm not going to go terribly too long. Still kind of congested a little bit. You know, I mentioned this before, a couple things I've mentioned before, but like my cousin, like I see a little bit of family history just watching my older cousins, and their mother and my mother are sisters, and they've had some physical problems. Like I've had 2 of my cousins have strokes. We think my aunt had a stroke. that made her sick. But I just still think like, well, listening to Dane, because Dane brings some good points. I mean, Dane got that hustle in him, but Dane brings up some good stuff. But Dane, cats my age and older, it's hard for them to really believe. And it's not like I don't have a belief. I know about where my families come from. I mean, we got the names, we got the places, we've got contracts. So I know where my people come from. Other than my great grandmother's, my father's grandmother, other than her father, which was a foundling, which means he was orphaned after the Civil War. We don't know much about him. But the rest of them, especially on my mother's side, we know. And it's like guys that age, just like his son took him, and I'm like, I know my cousin so well, where when he stood and looked at the pyramids, he said the motherland. And Dane was saying the motherland is over here. It ain't over there. But that was beat into baby boomers' heads so hard in the, like, really Richard Pryor talks about them, and a little bit Garvey, but Garvey, it was killed. Remember, the Muslims did the Arab thing, but the African thing, Richard Pryor was saying how they was going door to door, and the Jet Ebonies, they was the Back to Africa. I talk about getting in 70 or 71. We bought the 3-volume set from Johnson Publishing, and it's that same slave narrative over and over again. So this shit was beat in our generation, like people 60 plus. I would say 60 to 70. And people older, it was beat in our heads, though. I mean, far as it being in the schools, because Black history didn't come into the schools really until I got in high school, I want to say. So 76, 77 is when I first saw it in schools. And both my years, you could take Black history. But in the culture, it was pushed all in the culture. Again, Jet and Ebony talking that shit almost every episode, some slavery shit. And of course, the plagiarized thing they call Roots, when that came out. I mean, here's a TV story, and people talking about, well, we need to go see our roots out of Africa. Here's a TV story plagiarized by an FBI agent. Haley was an FBI agent. The one that wrote Malcolm's book and wrote Roots, he was the FBI agent. Yeah. Hey, conspiracy. I wonder if the name change, because I put it under Big Pontiac now. Hey, Lorenzo, what's happening? Thank you for joining. And so it's just it took his health. I mean, it was just too much on him to go that far. He ended up having a stroke after coming back, but it was just too much on him. He went there for a fantasy, is the point. He went there for a fantasy. If he wanted to go see some real history or be on our land, is going to Boston, where our tribe was. Met these motherfuckers. Or I'll say my tribe, my brothers. That's the motherland there. And that's the fallacy and the fantasy that the baby boomers were the first hit with that propaganda, as far as it being schooled. Now, I'll say this, I went to my elementary school, and I don't even remember this shit, but my elementary school had a Black History exhibition. Now, we had a Panther office across the street from the school that worked in the school. So the Black Panthers, it's like, I'll show you my 5th grade picture. We all wearing Bloods combat boot laces. That's what the brothers in the Bloods in Vietnam wore. They wore combat. We never took them off. And we played basketball that year, and we told them we wasn't going to take them off. And it was like all of us had, it was like 2 European dudes. I think they was the only ones didn't have it. It was like out of the 8 or 9 of us, or maybe 10, all of us had it, but maybe 3. So we was like, we're not taking them off, because they glued them, they glue them together. But they was just, combat boot laces. And to signify, I used to wear a POW bracelet. I used to have a bracelet from it was a cat that was a pilot in Vietnam, and I think I saw his brother do a commercial. Now, of course, I lost that bracelet long ago, but I had talked to his family, and this dude wasn't a prisoner. This dude was he was missing in action, MIA. And I used to write his family, and they was very nice and kind, and they appreciated it because that was kind of like the way was to connect with the families. So I don't know if this cat came back or not. So I wore both. I wore the Bloods thing, and I wore the pilot's name on a bracelet. My mother found that shit somewhere, and it sounded cool. And even looking at it, even now looking at it, it was trying to give him positive energy by keeping his idea alive. So I didn't really see that as, ritual. I saw that as they trying to bury these names. And you still see that today. What did Rocky had to do? Rocky had to go back to Vietnam and get them. They forgot about all of them. Wearing them combat boots made you a Skywalker on the court. No, we just wore the shoestrings. I'm sorry. Yeah, we wore the combat boot shoestrings. Because the Black Panther dude, and that was even a bogus story. But the Black Panther dude, check this shit out. And I said this story before. The Black Panther dude was a pedophile, and like after the game, he had asked me to come over to the Black Panther office. And at that point, I doubt it was still the office. I think they were still paying rent because it was the first time I saw the Marion, Indiana killing. They had a giant poster of it. The killing up in Duluth, they had a poster of that. But he wanted me to come see it after one of the games. My dad let me out because it was across the street. So I walked over, and it wasn't 20, 30 seconds. Like I was there minutes. Like I got to see the pictures, and then my stepdad came in. And later, another young boy that was around us, he raped a young boy over there. So my stepfather saved me from a lot of trauma. Oh, here we go. Another one is Louis Gates. Remember, he lied to celebrities like Tucker, Tina, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Tom Joyner, Morgan Freeman. Yeah, he lied to all of them. He was he's an agent too. And I know you can throw around agents so much, but I mean, when you work for them people, he worked for them people. I guess that's a better way to say it. He don't work for us. Like told Morgan Freeman, no, you're not. Morgan Freeman told him, my grandmother was this. I think he said Choctaw. He said, my grandmother had hair in the middle of her back. And then you're going to go buy that damn entertainment stuff. Like my daughter's mother said, do you think to give your mother a 23andMe? Like, that shit ain't real. It caught her by surprise. I'm like, that shit ain't real. You can't tell where nobody from that shit. Like, no, don't give that shit. He lied to them about people telling about American Indian ancestry. Absolutely. Took advantage of them. And then he'll get and laugh and roots and Alex Haley. Now that told you right there when he said he met Alex Haley. Come on, everybody know he's a plagiarizer. So why would you meet this motherfucker that made that shit? I guess I made some notes of me and Awaken when it was talking, and I'm talking like this to it. I had to kind of catch myself because this is how I talk, and I don't talk like this all the time. But when I get loose on here, if me and fellows were just sitting and this is how I talk. So I was just kind of catching myself, like I was just getting. So yeah, but yeah, Gates is another enemy of the state, like Sharpton. That lawyer, all enemies of the state, ain't really for the people. They control, their control. We send you niggas down there to control it. I mean, Floyd, see, I'm going to tell you something that people don't realize and what has scared these people more than anything. What happened at Floyd scared them. They did not realize these young people hated the system so much. As I said the other night, when they hit the streets, it was tens of thousands of young people. I mean, it's only 250,000 brothers here, but it was tens of thousands down on the south side. Tens of thousands of mostly young people. And this scared the hell out of them. They did not anticipate that. They did not anticipate the unison that they came out against their ass. And they were overwhelmed. And as I was saying, like, where did that army go? Even that army was overwhelmed. So I say, when Young got killed, when they kind of just took over a street, they had opportunity to take over the whole neighborhood. It's like there's entry points that go to the north side that could have easily been choked off. And that comes from my father, revolutionary thinking. But it's like they could have choked off the whole north side. They missed the now again, the whole side of town would have had to participate to pull it off, but that's real power. Occupying the street ain't power. Like I've said this a couple of days ago, what Black Lives Matter did. They was protesting at the Mall of America, fucking with that money. So they fainted like the Mall of America and went and shut the airport down for about 2 hours. That's a little bit of power. Now, them peoples probably helped them put that together, but they kept it silent enough. Then they sprang it into action. I had to applaud that. Much as I don't like them, I had to applaud that. Oh, yeah. There's a video of Gates talking at Yale about him and Rick Kittles making up Oprah saying she was Zulu. Say, you don't know your tribe by a slob of spit. What about Washington, that Washington dude? Did you ever see that fake thing he did? He had a party. This is how fake his thing was and how they still pushing this agenda. He had a party, like a reveal party for a baby to see which tribe he was. And some tribe, I don't know, and he was like cooning. Oh, I can't wait to go over there. I knew I was them. Just going through this thing. Just timing for him, cooning for him. That's all it was a coon exercise to still push this agenda. Knowing that shit don't work. Knowing make you wonder, like when they be saying how old shit was. Dude, it's like, and then you see them writing about this shit. How old they think shit is, and then they writing about this shit. That's why you don't see a whole bunch of writings about Atlantis, and you don't see a whole bunch of writings about Lemuria. And the more I study Atlantis, the more that shit. You take the time walkers and their technology. A lot of their technology is shit they be trying to claim from Atlantis. So I'm like, yeah, I see Atlantis the same as I see Tartaria, the same as I see Mudflood. Again, it's trying to make people ancient that ain't ancient people. It's, to me, the same. Lemuria, when they talk about harmony, when they talk about when everything got along, when all people and all things live within nature, that don't sound like nothing that certain people would be interested in. They want to kill everything. And this is no shout out to any individual, but this is the history. I mean, people don't understand that the war against the trees that they did wasn't just the war against the buffaloes, the war against the trees. Look at a map of how trees were before they came. And then look at the map today, how they have just devastated areas. They've devastated the country of most trees. You that travel, look around you. You got trees way in the corner of the south or the west. Look around you. You seeing 100-year-old trees. And I know I harp on this, but look around you. This is how much they've destroyed and killed things. And then they go back and try to plant trees because they realize, uh-oh, when the shit turned to sand, it's like, uh-oh. Like you just can't grow the shit in the same soil every year. I mean, they killed this land at one point. It is a contributor to them and their behavior. And the Dust Bowl, there wasn't brothers fucking with that shit that much. They gave them lands. It was a show about America. The dude I'm named after, a movie star named Brian Keith, is in it. And I can't tell you, it was a little series. But it showed how they did that shit, which made me, experience it for the first time. But do you understand how they have went to war with nature? And then try to go, well, like, well, we took the aerosol cans out. We told those smokestacks, blow a little less smoke. We told those fishermen, we got, a little rich boat that goes around and fucks with these people. And then make you think that the Japanese don't give a fuck about any of the fish. They just think kill them all. That's what it makes you think. That's how the Japanese look at the shit. The way they fish. I mean, you're taking all these resources from the world like it's a parasitic world. I mean, you ever, I used to do forklift in a slaughterhouse, moving shit around, I ain't fuck with the animals, but I used to watch the numbers killed daily. I mean, it was just mind blowing. When I worked for the water department in Greensboro, across the street was a pig farm or a pig slaughterhouse. And you would just see them hanging up and shit. I mean, it is mass amounts of killing. And, I benefit from the eating. I do. At times I eat as a vegetarian, but I benefit from that shit. I'm not going to say I don't. I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody. No, I eat meat. But sometimes I would like look at the cows and it was almost like it was a person inside the cow. And I would just get that feeling like just the humanness of what I'm looking at. And the inhumane, and it's like, yeah, I know we need to eat and stuff, but the way they've done it is just unbelievable. It's cruel. And those animals do feel a little suffering, and you get that suffering. It transfers to us. Wow, you didn't get your notification until now? Okay. Well, you know what they say, be shadow banning people. In high school, I watched a movie about the Dust Bowl. At first, I thought it was going to be some bull, but the more I watched, the more I got into it. Oh, it is. I've got a couple of books on that stuff and been watching videos. And it's, as I said, that television show was when I first heard about it. And there's some books here because it was affected up here. They want to tell you, like I watched one special and they said it was only Nebraska, Kansas. It was like this. No, that shit came all the way through Nebraska, through Iowa, and even up here. Because I don't know who I ran across. And they was like, no, that shit's up here. Go to the library. And sure enough, I found a bunch of books how they was affected even up here. Even up here, Like I read the book about Rochester, how the same way it was like the boundary at one time was the Ohio River. Don't come the fuck across the Ohio River. Then it was the Mississippi River. And then it's like the Minnesota River. I mean, it's like infringed. And these, like dang say, is immigrants. And the government's lie was we couldn't control the people. And then at first it was just murder. And these are the things they don't want taught in school anymore. Now, I'm not trying to make any individual feel bad. You have to understand the true history of what has happened in America. Yeah, you can just look it up on YouTube and they'll show you that shit. Black and white videos, but it was great. Yeah, it's a bunch, but the books get into it. Like they talk about how they could never get rid of the dust, the sand. It was like in their food. And like food was so hard to come by then. But when they would get food, I mean, just the way like they still had to go to school to walk through, it was like that was on them for years. This wasn't just, this was some years shit where they had just made the land turn into sand. Greed. Poor planning and greed. And remember the dude said that, we're better off because we've been educated by them, indoctrinated. And so this isn't, again, I'm not pointing the finger at any individual. I'm saying this is the history of the country we live in. Now, I'm sorry if anybody feels like I'm pointing the finger at them because I'm telling the history of the country, because this is the true history of the country. It's been impede and steal, lie. You writing up a treaty. These people don't understand what you're writing up. You writing up a treaty. These people thinking you taking, this little slot and you talking about the whole 2-3 states. This is the lies they used to do. Hey, Pale Horse, thank you for joining me. Oh, climate's not changing? No, it's not. It's definitely being engineered. I mean, look at what they did to Texas last year. Freezing temperatures, do that to people. I remember starting in Oklahoma and then spread northward. If I remember, it cost them it cost them to migrate to California. Caused some to migrate to California. Absolutely, a lot of people pulled up stakes. With all due respect, I never saw a slave ship in my life. There ain't none. It ain't a thing. That's some lies too. It's like they put that droid of a slave ship, the drawing. It ain't been no slave ship. I mean, you just look at the technology. I mean, I am almost doubtful that Columbus came the Atlantic route. It would have been so much easier to come up from Spain and drive around. Easier, milder oceans. It's hard now for steel ships to go that way. So it's not really believable when for thousands of years they've been going the other route. That's why it's not believable about Musa. Musa's, all the people try to say that Musa's brother came to America. That ain't believable. Not them ships and going to the Atlantic. That's what the story says. That they went across. They don't say they hugged the coast of Europe, Greenland, and come around. That is what the ancients did. They took the northern route. That's why they give you the Viking story, Leif Erikson's story, because that's how they were showed. When the Omen came up from South America, went up through Mississippi, put that culture in, went on the coast, put that culture in, and they kept going and went over to Europe too. This is the technology they had. And that's why they had to tell stories. That's why you watch the Vikings. They try to tell you the Vikings was the first land to Iceland and Greenland. They lived further away. So all that shit is bullshit. If you ever Tasha, there's a book on the slavery in Canada. And so you see the tribes up there. Another thing, one of the young ladies that's my friends on Facebook, she was talking about the slaving of the Eskimos, the Inuits. It's like when Russia was in charge of that area, took that area, they slaved a lot of them Eskimos, the Inuits. I know Eskimos is disrespectful, but the Inuit people, how the Russians were slaving them when Russia conquered them areas. I don't even think Mana Musa was a real person. I tend to agree with you too. Vikings was a great show. And as I proved before, Vikings wasn't no one people. It was a culture that a lot of different peoples practiced. And there was colored folks that practiced being Vikings. They don't want to show you that, but it was. Just like they want to tell you just one soldier, one slave went over there, and that was all the black folks they ever saw. Yeah, you look at southern China and look at them peoples, and you've seen the pictures. It's people with locks and shit in southern China. Look how colored those folks are. And China is the first country to practice the lightning. As if you had a lighter child, there was another lighter child. China was the first one to try to white out. You look at a Chinese person now, they try to show themselves as white. And there's no disrespect, but what do? I mean, look at their anime. They show themselves white in anime, or European. They show themselves European in anime. They may wear Chinese clothes, but their faces look European. Show me anime that don't look like that. Goku don't look like he come from China or Japan. He's the Monkey King, but look at anime. This is how they picture themselves. But China was the first to do that. They thought they could do it here. They thought the Europeans could do it here. Again, I always go back to the Gangs of America and what a native is. And Butcher Bills explains it. The first generation after Washington is a native. Now, these natives don't like hearing that, especially these casino natives. They don't like hearing that. They do not like hearing that because that's what it is. That's who was calling themselves natives. What did Dane say? The know-nothings? The know-nothings. That's where that native shit come from, the know-nothings. Look that up. Stephen Hawking survived 40-year long than everybody else with ALS. Yeah, and they couldn't save the the dude who had it, Lou Gehrig. And that's some shit. Couldn't save Lou Gehrig. That was a big, strong athlete his whole life. But I think the dude who blocked the punt for New Orleans to move on, I think he was struck by that too. You're talking about Canada's Forgotten Slave. I read that one before, big homie. Okay, could be, yeah. Tasha Z, which y'all should be listening to Tasha if you want to know some of this stuff about American Indians. And I like Dame. Dame is, it's funny. Dame would talk shit about the conscious community in New York, but Dame got that hustle in him too. So, but Dame does put out positive information. I'll say that. You can't say everything. It's like even Omar Johnson, when he first came out and talked about the attack on young boys with the ADHD, ADD, and the medications, we can't throw that away. Regardless of his actions afterwards, we have to retain that, because that was a clear warning by somebody that was seeing it. I firsthand saw it as well. My boys going off and on that shit, and finally was like, no more of this shit. Now my older son, he still takes it, still helps him. I think he has a little narcolepsy, because he'll fall out and fall asleep at times. His mother could fall asleep like that. She lay down, she sleep. I mean, she fall asleep. I don't think she's ever, except with her drug addicted days. But if she's, since she's past all that and before all that, yeah, she could just. But I think part of it too was depression. I think part of what she went through is depression, because she had some trauma in her life as a young person. And so I'm not bashing nobody, but it's just history. And just, you give these Asians all this money. They just gave the gays some more money. And yet you want to tell our folks that there's no money. There's no money. And then you want to lock up our folks for being smart to get these loans you was giving out. And you want to lock them up and put that on the screen. And every once in a while you do show a European or two. We got him too. Oh, here we go. I missed this one. Yeah, Chinese got brown when they work on the fields and veg fields, but they don't want to look like them farm workers anymore. They have pushed the white skin for so long. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that. Yeah, I haven't even considered that. Yeah, Canadians, forgotten slaves. Canada, forgotten slaves. There's a few illustrations I think was in the book too. But yep, when I worked security in Virginia around the Williamsburg area, they had vacation resort they called plantations. I refused to work at them anymore. And it was like the chick that supposedly, won all that money in South Carolina, and she would bail her boyfriend out of jail. And they said she spent $22 million bailing him out. Well, when you bail a person out of jail, if they show up, you get your money back, other than the fee, but you get your money back. So why would that be a story? But she supposedly bought a plantation, and she had the nerve to be interviewed by one of them people. And they looked around, it's like, this used to be a plantation. And the sister didn't even have an answer. It was like, well, that's why I bought it, because, we went from the slave ship to the spaceship. Just the bullshit Jesse Jackson used to say. I mean, the whole civil rights thing was rife with it's like the Panthers. It was run by the government from the beginning. Sent all these people in there that, infiltrated it, and they didn't even infiltrate, they took it over. The Black Panther Party, and I didn't do it again. I didn't turn the Wi-Fi off. But the Black Panther Party was a political party in Alabama. And then they, said for self-defense. Well, they was like, yeah, we better be on top of this. So they sent, light skin, dark skin. Worked for the FBI the whole time. I mean, is that Huey Newton story? He shot a cop while he was handcuffed. He was handcuffed, but then he got to fighting, and some kind of way he got the cop's gun and shot him. And then they shot him back. Took his ass off the street. And don't let me say, he did not go to Sacramento, which declared war. Had black folks declare war on the state of California. You take the Capitol, what is that? That's a declaration of war. And what did Nixon come out with? The war on drugs, which was a war on us. And really, the war amplified when Clinton became president. Him and Lock 'em Up Joe. 3 strikes going around the country. And all this cocaine they bring in, locking people up for that. Giving these astronomical sentences, breaking up the family with addiction and separation. You know, there's a generation of crack children, and my children are involved in that. Luckily, I was able to have them. I mean, not down on her, but just telling the facts. You know, my one boy, I had to take it 2. Shit, my other son, 6 months. And then my son that's in there, I mean, I've had him since, I mean, she kept him, but once he moved here at 4. He moved here at 4. I got full custody when he was 10. But I mean, these were purposeful attacks. And like the Midwest got hit hard because they took away the jobs. I mean, you don't know how beautiful these cities was. Like one thing Michael Moore does is he shows Flint. Flint was such a beautiful city. Saginaw was a beautiful city. Flint was the second, or I think that Flint is the 3rd biggest city in Michigan, I believe. I think it's Detroit, Grand Rapids, but I think Flint at one time was the 3rd biggest city. This was a big, pretty city. Biggest plant in the world, River Rouge. River Rouge had from 60 to 69, River Rouge dominated basketball. You know why? You had parents working upper middle class. They could afford basketball camps for these children. Look down where Bootsy Collins is from, down Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, and all the groups that came out of there simply because parents could afford to finish their basements. They worked at Deco. Deco used to be the music box. And I've mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again. I'm going to mention this again to understand how creative we are. Same thing in Motown. And you know what they said? They couldn't have another Motown. They couldn't have another what happened in Ohio. So they took the instruments out of the schools. They took the plumbing out of the schools, electricians out of the schools. Auto mechanic. Why do you think? Because this is how far they plan ahead. They wanted to force people into college. Because if you don't know about trades, you don't know. A lot of children would not know about trades unless they went to school where they gave the trades. And you know what's now? Trades. People are seeing the scam of going to college and getting that debt. It was a scam. Any job. One thing I learned about being a manager and running businesses, any job you take, you got to be trained to do it the way they do it. Any job. I mean, what was the movie where Leonardo played all them different professionals? He was like a doctor. I think he was printing the money and shit, but he was also able to walk right in and figure it out. And there are a lot of brilliant people like that. So college has always been a scam, giving you these loans. My daughter's mother, been out of college for 20 years. Still got a grip of that debt. I mean, I was lucky. I had to pay anything for college. I was lucky. And I really jacked off 3 years because I didn't get a degree. Matter of fact, I could have definitely, because I got red shirted my freshman year, I could have went to school for 5 years. And I know, like, my partner, and he got offended. I was like, damn, if a nigga like you can graduate, I know I can graduate. He's like, what you mean, nigga like me? I'm like, okay. I watched you and I watched out for you while you climbed up the gutter. You broke into the building it was the college. He climbed up the gutter, climbed through a window, broke in the building, and we took some TVs. I'm like, ain't that you? He's like, well, you helped me. I'm like, but that's you too. Now that's my boy Count. Rest in peace. He was from Dayton. Southern rope to northern dope. There we go with Jesse. Where do you think came from? I mean, really, if you study history, if you looked at part of the Black Plague, I mean, if you really study some of the groups that were there, the people you found dark people everywhere. Wasn't just Africa. It's like everywhere you went, you found melanated people. I guess melanated would be the proper way to say. Everywhere you went around the world, you found melanated people. There's not any part of the world there wasn't melanated people. So just to say Europeans that are called white, that they come from one little area, that's kind of hard to say that they came from one area. Now, that some of the work goes into that's where the aliens come from. And some of the work out there is like they came and appeared at 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. It's like this different kind of, I mean, if you look at the Adam story, this different type of man, and the Anunnaki story would fit Europeans more than it would fit the melanated people around the country. So if you look at it, something like that they created the Adam that looked different than the people that the rest of the world. And they introduced these people. That gets back into the Atlantean story, where Dr. Valentine and both Wes Paneri talk about the haze type of people, people being, this colored energy, and then being able to lock that energy and then put it into what the Europeans look like. I mean, there's that kind of information out of there. So it's not so, but it appears like 5,000 years ago. They appear, a different type of people appear. Now, saying they came out of caves, I just think that goes into being protected somewhere because they weren't ready to go out on their own. That, you look at the Bible story, that's the Garden of Eden. The Eden could have been where they were all huddled together and being taught how to survive. That could have been a part. I mean, but the other part is that I'll say this too. Everywhere, people have always been different kind of hues of skin. Everywhere. I'll say that. And what I mean by that is there were even American Indians that was like my complexion, not native. There were what would be considered black tribes, but was lighter people. I mean, so there's always been a different hue of people. I guess I'll backtrack and I will say that. There has always been different hues of people. So keep that in mind. I want to tell the whole story and not just part of it. So there's always been different hues of people. But the people that seem to be what is called basically the European today seems to be a history of about 5,000 years ago. Because we know they weren't in the Oman lands. They weren't with the Mayan lands. I mean, they didn't know anything about America. Well, they knew about America, though. To say they didn't, that they just sailed, no. They knew about it. They knew about it. Now, the other part to go with it is wizards. Wizards starting working with them. Now, we know the wizards were frozen. And it appears like when the wizards thawed, or they knew how to thaw out the wizards, however the wizards came back, the wizards did help them with technology. Because the wizards that was in Europe, I mean, read the, I can't even remember the name of the book. But the book starts with, this was written by a wizard in Baghdad. I can't think of that occult book, but that's what it says. It says this book was written by a wizard in Baghdad. The wizards do seem to have helped with the technology. Now, if you get into the me or the my, well, let me even backtrack. We know that old technology did exist. We see the remnants of it all the time. From my personal understanding of the Time Walkers, they had brass flying vehicles. If you see that picture of the. It looks like two Europeans holding an Indian up on a clamshell. He's holding something. That's kind of a description of the metal vehicles that the Time Walkers could manipulate. So that type of technology has been around. Brother Bomber did a good thing touching on that. So, and if you look at what the Mai is, it's nothing but technology. But the technology had to be released slower. Now, did the wizards help? Because metal, and being able to, because again, remember, the Chinese had cannons and shit. They discovered gunpowder. And one thing, if you get that movie, The Great Wall, is they showing you they was firing cannons. So if you say that in Europe was the first to fire cannons, you'd be wrong. It's the Chinese. And they show how the Europeans was able to get the gunpowder and to make the cannons, make the guns, stronger steel, stronger shields. And so it was a technology thing. It wasn't that the Europeans that went over there was more advanced because they were less advanced. Because I still think Venice, Italy was made after they went back and they was taught how to build in them swampy areas. Because when you talk about one of the wonders, the city before Mexico City had to be one of the wonders of the world. 1 million people living there in canals, and it's clean, no trash. I mean, these Europeans never. You imagine what the Europeans smelled like? Cortez and them smelled like? You know the story of the Moors having to show these motherfuckers how to shower and shit. So it's like if they didn't, they had like the mirrors and stuff as telephones. The crystal heads and how to truly use them to create time crystals. So it seemed like they was given more destructive technology compared to in America, we had the more spiritual technology. So let me see. I would not hesitate to move and buy a house in Detroit or anywhere in that area. Shit, now I'll tell you, I really would love to have a house in Detroit because you can get all them old houses of them GM executives. I mean, a lot of them, need some work, but I'd love to have that. I love houses in Michigan because it's some of the woodwork is like there was a house owned by he was what was this cat? The dude who built the house, because I looked him up. He was a doctor for Kellogg's or Post. I want to say Post. He was Post doctor because Post that went crazy and killed himself. But he was a doctor for Post. But man, he had this was who originally built the house. My friend used to do because Battle Creek it's a veterans hospital, so it's a lot of hustle where you take patients. You let veterans live with you. But he had this old house, and their formal dining room was just all hand-laid panel. I don't know if it was mahogany or cherry, but this room was just beautiful. It was just beautiful, and it was several houses. But I've been in a few of them Detroit houses in the same type of exquisite woodwork. A lot of those houses need help, so yeah, I like Detroit. That's what Gates' pink ass did. He said that people like Tom Joyner had high percentage of American Indian because he was lighter skinned, like Chris Drucker because they're darker. Yeah, it's people all different colors. I'll say that. Catch me if you can. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, catch me if you can. Oh yeah. You can see the paintings in Russia where all they put Jesus and Mary as darker skinned people, and then you see the darker skinned Jesus and Mary. So it tells you where the idea come from. So not necessarily these real figures, but the idea was a melanated idea. I mean, even the Pope has the melanated baby Jesus and Mary. They make them as melanated people. Oh, there's a whole lot we don't know. I mean, there's like, we really don't even know what year it is. I mean, on the Mayan calendar, what are we today? 13 something. You look at the Chinese calendar and they want to tell you it's 2000 from Jesus lived. Makes no sense. We go by when this made up character. So the timeline, and matter of fact, if it was real, things would have started in 33. So I mean, it makes no sense. They just like took a lie, and started this fake time. No, it's not really round either. No, it's not round like they show. And that space shit, Baghdad Wizard. Yeah, Pinterest, the Pinterest book. I had it on. I had an ebook, the Pinterest books, and that's how the Pinterest starts off. No, I mean that it's some other parts of that story, but that you can break down who these individuals really were, and yeah, so part of that Yakab can be broken down was other real people in history. But as I was saying, the Chinese was the first to do that and be successful with it. The Chinese did it because you go to southern Japan or Japan, southern China, or parts of even China where the people were darker. Yeah, of course, if we could go down in them archives, but you know what they would do? They would bury them archives before, like if it looked like these people was in their ass, because Mussolini's people took it over. Several other people have taken over that shit. They were kicked out and went to France. They were French Pope for I think 10 years. So that's why when Zach points out about the Jesuits and starting in France, that's where the popes was at the time. And again, if you study the popes, I mean, this is some of the corrupt motherfuckers that been having children, raping women. I mean, got rich. Catholics pray to Black Madonna. There you go. But I mean, these people had a thing. I talked about this the other night, and it's got to be repeated, where they was making their priests give up their lands. And before they knew it, within 100, 200 years, they were some of the wealthiest landowners in Europe. It was some of these wars. And when they really got beat, though, the Catholic Church got beat by Napoleon. Napoleon defeated the Catholic Church. Now, I know they want to tell you a lot of that Rome stuff, and Rome is a continuation of Babylon, but the Catholic Church got beat by Napoleon. That's what history tells you when the Catholic Church, when that reigned, from the early popes, French popes, Napoleon beat them. Mussolini had him, I don't think it was Mussolini, it was one of the other factions, as Mussolini was trying to gain power, and they had expelled them motherfuckers up out of there. I mean, that land was controlled by someone else anyway. That was an old pagan place of worship. But what did I tell you they do? They see a place with energy and they want to take it over. And so it was some energy center there that they took over because it was always already being used. And none of the disciples was ever lived. I mean, and it's not that it's just not proof of the shit. It's just the shit is so impractical the way it's told. Not to say it couldn't have been a being that was so enlightened. I mean, how is it that Buddha moved a nation and didn't perform one miracle? How is that? Buddha did not perform one miracle. And you know how many people believe in Hinduism or believe in Buddhism? Or Buddhism, I mean, they're different. But Buddhism, not one miracle. Only showed selflessness, value wisdom, value spirituality, but a high value on the spiritual people. So spiritual people come in and I guess it's a little bit of healing they did do. I'll say that. It was a little healing, but not the Jesus shit where he rose the motherfucker from the dead. But even their own stories, they be lying, because what was his name? Elijah rose. It's two other people that rose people from the dead in that Bible, because, they stuck them together. They stuck the Torah to these new stories to give us some legitimacy. That's why they did it like that. They wanted to make it legitimate. And the Jewish faith people was like, yeah, more people are going to read our shit. I mean, that's how it turned out. It's like more people are going to read our shit. Yay. Even though they're not Jewish faith. Well, why? That, and see, the lie is to try to say from Adam to Jesus. That's the lie. That's the lie. Saying he was related to him and him and him and him and him and him and him. And that's why we put them together. But this isn't called Jewish faith. You're calling this something else. Well, because we believe in him, we've got to change it. Well, nobody talks shit about this shirt. I don't know. I'm still up in the air about this shirt. It's mighty shiny. Looks like I'm ready to go discoing and shit and be seen in the disco ball. My son even asked me, what was it? But one of my friends, this is a gift from her, and had to try it out. Had to see. So, Marcus the Great, what's happening? Oh my goodness, that sneezing attack. I get them about once a month. So really? You gonna make all this noise?
Yeah, I'm eating. I just woke up.
Okay, you just cooked here a minute ago.
I had this much of this.
Okay,
chicken.
then why didn't you make more? Because you know what I do at midnight. Has it changed? Has it changed? And then you want to come in here and make noise. I mean, it's just like disrespectful as shit.
But I woke up 3 hours ago.
Okay, but I'm doing something.
So I was going to starve myself?
Yeah, you're supposed to wait till I get done. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show me respect.
You've been doing this for like
and
an hour and 30 minutes.
Till I get done.
You've been doing it for, I've been waiting an hour and 30 minutes.
Well, you took food earlier, though, and you could have took food again. You could have took more then. Make noise and distract me. I mean, you're an asshole. I mean, you're just an asshole like that. If I had my channel monetized, I'd be making money doing this, but I don't have it monetized. So you would be costing me money. Well, still, you costing me time. You taking away from the production.
No, you're doing that.
No, you are.
Ignore me.
I can't ignore the noise. The noise is distracting. I can't concentrate. I can't come up with new thoughts because you're killing my vibe. Yeah, I have allergies all year round. I take medicine all year round. But again, living down here near this water is something else in the air. My cat is kind of going through it too. Well, they be sneezing and shit. I'll be having to give him medicine. So, well, since he being rude, I am gonna have to end it because he's kind of killed my vibe. But I will do the divination tonight. 16, yeah, day 16. But yeah, I've got allergies. They never really go away. And, you get to sneezing so bad where your ribs be sore the next day. I get to sneezing so bad where the next day my ribs are like sore as shit. Yeah, every day. Like if you look at my shows, I sniff. I'm constantly sniffing. I was not as bad as what I did this morning. This morning, I was really the sneeze. And then when I tried to do the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm day 16. Come on. I just like picking this book up because I pick this book up every day. Like these books get water on them and shit, and it's like, just like when I break crystals, it's like nothing I didn't do it on purpose. Yeah. So just give me a second. Some of them got the numbers in this and some of them don't. I'm just gonna have to do a thing. Oh, okay. Gotta be close. Yeah, that's not what it said. Yeah, kid. Yeah, because I wrote it's days. Oh, it's day 3. We are back on like day 3 or 4. That's right. Yes, day 3. So we're on day 4. Yeah, I'm tripping. I'm getting the other calendar mixed up. Con. And this right here is some strong medicine. These cards are strong. It's really, but it comes from me working with this stuff. I know that's where it comes from. All right. The card is Con. Um, Common mind usage, corn, seed, corn, iguana, quality, seed, seeding, manifestation, self-germination, creation of fertile ground, gestation, opening, erupting, possibilities, acting on inspiration, initiating creative ideas, developing confidence, well-rooted seeding, solar plex area. The number is 4, measuring cycles. Colors saffron yellow. That's why for the yellow. So if you need a little extra energy tomorrow, wear a little yellow somewhere in your outfit. Herb is sunflower petals, dandelion, yellow lily, buttercups. Um, Seed of enlightenment is the bow tree. Scents is clover, saffron. Stone, citrine, golden calcite, gold tiger's eye. Element is fire. Direction comes from the south. Shadow wisdom, feeling fear, feeling of insecurity, limiting of new possibilities with routine, chosen to remain safe at the expense of awakening and growing. So instead of wanting to awaken and growing and be different, you choose to, live in the ignorance. Shadow transformation. Realize that you and your life are the fertile ground, that you are awakening your own dreams and possibility. Free yourself from the illusion of safety as you enter into the manifestation of emerging possibility. Harmonic wisdom is progression. The mantra you can do, hands cupped over each other at the solar plexus, of this holding a seed, then opening your hands and offering a seed into your life. Meditation, I am the Buddha Manda, the seed possibility erupting. Affirmation, I am the fertile ground and the self-germinating seed of possibilities. In the potency of my realm are the seeds of your vision and dreams gently nurtured, for they awaken the sleeper and illuminize the great mystery. So that's what the colors, and that is the vibration. That's the beautiful thing about the Mayan. It's something real you can work with every day instead of the third, the fourth. They give the whole month to their goods. Well, we'll just name the month after Julius Caesar. We'll give Julius Caesar a couple months, and you guys just vibe with that. So gave that out. If it helps, it helps. Wasn't going to say. Almost allergies mess with me. Hey, there he is. What's happening, Mr. Lamborghini Leg Lock? So, yeah, I got him every day too. Wasn't going to say nothing about start, but it's shiny. Yeah, see, that's what I told my friend. She's like, you can take it back, and yeah, it's shiny as fuck. It's like I had the Star Trek shirt on the other day. Now I got the Battlestar Galactica or some shit. He said, "We're gonna say nothing." See, you guys got to talk shit if the shit looking foul. But yeah, I look like I'm ready to go to disco. Usually they really bother me when I'm breaking my buds up before rolling. Now that don't bother me. They say get some honey from your locals and it treats it. I mean, we got local honey, but Don't seem to. It has never. Because somebody made a concoction I bought. Um, I had some liquid and it had a little bit of honey, but it really didn't save me because North Carolina, it was rough. My freshman year when that spring hit in January. I could barely leave the class. I almost had to quit school because of it. The allergies were. I couldn't go to class because once I go out, I'm just sneezing in class. It wore me out. Keep forgetting I have local honey and I get some local elderberries. I'll be slacking. Got to remember every day. Yeah, I take the meds, but yeah, it couldn't hurt to take some natural stuff too. Y'all can snap me too. I sneezed about 10 times one time, just wouldn't stop. Pick a card. No, I'm not gonna pick no cards today. It's really I had no room. These cards are big. I gotta set something up for that. That's why Waken would ask me the same thing. She's like, "You gotta read me something." I'm like, "Yeah, definitely work." PJ, you remind me. I'm forgetting it. Okay, it hadn't worked for me. Smoke a lot. I get with the motions. New light, horse rider, no problem. Okay. Um. Yeah. The Timberwolves won tonight. I saw Phoenix end up winning. They Embiid didn't play, so they got beat. They didn't play, so the Sixers got blowed out by Boston. You know they always want to prop up Boston. So a little bit of the Time Walkers work. Time Walkers had a saying, Mora, and it starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had an exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent. And to all my relations, I am another yourself. So thank you, everyone, for coming on the Galactic Patio, being my guest. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the support. The comments are great. I appreciate the people that will watch this later. I guess I do be preaching to the preaching to, what do they call it? The audience of the church, choir, preaching to your delegation. But Waking One wants to come on. Me and PJ can chop it up. Oh, and B did play. Okay, that tells you how much I was watching. Oh, that's not right. And B did play. Oh, okay, then I missed that part. Sub to New Light Tools. Oh, okay. New Light Tools. I'll check it out. New Light Tools. Plus, one doctor, she hasn't been on lately. I wonder if they took her channel down. I got to look her up. But she has a lot of good home remedies. I got to get her book about how to detox and stuff. So I've seen videos that show if you clean your sinuses, allergies might go away. Something being around smoked dogs or sinuses. I mean, I'm allergic to cats and animals, really, and I got 2 cats, but they don't seem to bother me. Like they tell me with the Flonase, they say I should use Flonase every day. A lot of times I'll use it after I'm stuffed up, but they say use a little bit of Flonase, so maybe I'll have to start using that stuff. You like them for sure. Okay. Yeah, I don't mind. But yeah, they say I should use Flonase every day, and I only really use it when I'm stuffed up. And shit, I used it one night when I was stuffed up, and I don't get headaches, but it just, it went right to my head. And oh my goodness, it was like terrible because I never get them. I mean, in my whole life, I've had less than 5 headaches. Of course, eat ice cream, some shit like that. But yeah. So Lorenzo said the shiny shirt is a no. I think I'm tending to agree. It's a little much, and it's a lot more. It's like a lot more. But see, I can laugh at myself. I mean, it's like a t-shirt. I don't know. It's soft. Ooh, it's soft. That's some soft stuff there. But if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Well, y'all, this has been the Chocolate Mom Show. Till we meet again, say less.